What are midnight cravings? A chocolate, dessert, Netflix? Perhaps a car like this. A midnight drive can really liberate your senses and make you feel very, very liberated. It's that I can drive all night and go back to office in the morning. 500 Nm of torque, 421 horsepower. This is a sports car category. This is definitely a sports car category. But in India, you can actually compare this with a Porsche Macan because a 2-liter 4-cylinder can be compared to a practical SUV like a Porsche, and it comes with the Porsche badge. But this has its own place under the sun. This is definitely a totally different thing that you like to own. And it definitely turns the heads around. Yes, this color also pops out. But more than that, the howl of the engine is something else. Just look at it. Now the A45S is meant for an enthusiast. The whole look and feel, the packaging is targeted with an enthusiast as a center point. I drove this in Natrax in Pitampura on the track, and I did manage to touch 278. You can click on the pop-up icon on the right to see. It was a breeze. It was like without a wrinkle on my forehead I could do that. And I was always wanting to see how it behaves on the road. It is still a great car on the road. Only thing, the ground clearance, which you can't do about. If you can manage that part, it's a car that you can live every day. In fact, it's a car which will make you go out for drives, like on self-love, like right now I'm doing. There are 3 ways in which you can get to the race mode. First is from the right hand side of the steering. You can just toggle that, go to the last menu. Then there's a button here which actually makes you gives you an option of making the exhaust noise more balanced or powerful. And the third mode is, of course, going to the race track yourself. When the world will be electrified, this car sitting in your garage will remind you of the sheer engineering marvel of the AMG guys, of what internal combustion, the sound produced by internal combustion is unsatiable, is unbeatable. No matter what speakers come up in the EV race that we are up against. But this sound, which is right now I'm hearing in my eardrums, can wake me up every day of my life, and I can really I can really be perpetually on a midnight drive when you have an AMG A45S or a car similar to this. Let me now pull over and do the rituals, show you the exterior, interior, boot space. None of that matters so much as the sheer driving pleasure which it comes with. But we'll go through the drill. Let me pull over now. Midnight cravings is over now. It's time for a morning coffee. And before we have the coffee, I would like you to meet Mr. Daniel Oldendorf. You know who is he? He's the man who handcrafted this AMG A45S. It's one man, one machine. This is a twin scroll turbocharger, and this is the most important part of this whole piece of vehicle, because this is the engine, this is the AMG. This is the beauty. This is what drives this car and drives people crazy. Let me tell you a few things about the exteriors. This is the LED headlights. This is very large air intakes, but the other side is the air intake. This one is fake. Let's take a moment for the tires. These are 19-inch, very low profile, 6-piston brake calipers, red color brake calipers, of course. Now, there's Michelin tires, of course. Now, because of it being low profile, it gives that looks. But at the same time, for the Indian roads, it's a problem. At the same time, this tire only makes it look all the work, all the charm that it actually performs on the road. So it's a double-edged sword, but I love it. It being a hatch, it gets a very decent amount of boot space. It gets a space saver tire also. But what it doesn't get is an electric boot closure. The kind of money you pay, you might as well hire someone to close the boot for you. Now, interesting, this gets twin exhaust on either side. It looks very cool and changes the dynamics of the AMG. And with this diffuser here, it looks very cool. Mercedes logo here, AMG badging here. My first impression when I sit in the rear seat, which I'll not be sitting for most of the time, but it's very spacious. It's very premium. It's Alcantara leather here. Now the seats are little scooped, so give you more knee room, but there's not much of visibility. You have to trust the people driving, because these seats actually block your vision in straight line, and the person sitting here. The third person, child can fit in because you have a very big transmission tunnel here. But overall, I think they've managed to give very decent space for a hatch. My time for sneak out has come to an end. It's time to get back to work, get back to reality. But the time I spent the whole night driving this on the streets of Mumbai was one of the best times in a long time. Yes, it has earned the badge of being the world's fastest hatchback. It has earned the badge of being a pocket rocket in a truest sense. It does cost 79.5 lakhs ex-showroom. The money will raise eyebrows. But that's the kind of price you pay to own your midnight dreams. On that note, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. And if you've liked this video, do share with your friends.